Hello and welcome back to the One Hotspur YouTube channel. I'm Toby, and today I am joined by the marvelous Bodhi from Gids.United. Go follow him there. How you doing?
I'm all right, yourself?
I'm doing just fine. Today we're going to be looking into Oliver Skipp and what he is going to look like in a new system when he does get minutes. And I think we're both pretty hopeful that Skipp's going to get a lot of minutes this season. He's going to be a really key part of our squad. So yeah, let's jump right into it. As you can see, we have the team laid out in a 4-3-3 with Skipp, and then this little white circle is going to serve as the ball. Yeah, exactly where Bodhi just drew that little circle right there. Yeah, so let's jump into it. Let's just start with like a goal kick. So typically, what we've seen from Spurs is a situation like this with the center backs pretty far back, wing or full backs all the way back, and then our midfielders checking in, probably one pushing up, and then our wingers dropping. Oh my God, what did I just do? All right, there. Two midfielders drop back, one pushing up, and then our wingers getting wide, and then our striker probably dropping in a little bit. So what would you like to see from a Skipp, like a goal kick scenario? Say he plays it wide here. Probably
No, I think he does agree. I never saw him as a playmaker, perhaps per se.
Mm-hmm.
People always thought, oh, we have to have creative players in the team, but we have those creative players. I saw Skipp as a player very similar to Winks in the sense of, pardon me, a player that would not be doing something too creatively essential, but is always going to support the defense, which
Mm-hmm.
is realistically what's needed at Spurs. You need someone like that,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that we've seen recently his creative displays have been very, very good. That's a
Yeah.
big plus. So
Mm-hmm.
in this situation, I want him for effort at all in any situation with him on the ball. I'd want him to be playing it safe. I don't really personally, if he can do the skills and all that, then sure. But the whole vision that I saw with Skipp was going to be a really solid, strong CDM in the center of the park that wouldn't do anything too special. Kind of like very similar to Højbjerg.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the idea I had with Skipp. Very side to side,
Mm-hmm.
occasional
Gotcha.
ball, but at
Yeah.
the most strong point, his defensive qualities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. But something we've seen from Skipp this preseason, I think you were talking about it a little bit, was his ability on the ball. And we've seen quite a few balls like that from him, like playing in the wingers behind, or playing in a ball through the other winger. That's created opportunities for us. I mean, we've seen quite a few that go out to Bergwijn. And then, I mean, just looking at that, you can see how much that creates if you can get your players up, and then that relieves the pressure on the defense if you can move all your players up and get into space in the wide areas. And you have two players in the middle that you can play to. Fullbacks are probably going to be pushing up, and Reguilon is such a good player to offer that pace down the wings as well. So I would like to see, if that's something Skipp has in soccer and something he's confident about, I'd love to see those like longer balls that hit up the field to our danger players and our quick players, because with everyone kind of unclear on what's happening with Kane, it's we're gonna have a really pacey forward line. I mean, our only other options are Bergwijn, Son, Lucas Moura, and Brian Heel. I don't know when he's gonna get minutes or not, but those are really our only first team options, if excluding Kane. And all three of those players are extremely quick. And if we could get someone in midfield who can really play those balls over the top, that's something that's so dangerous that I think would be like really beneficial to our team. And it's something that we didn't really have before. Højbjerg, he didn't hit a lot of long balls. Alderweireld even, he used to be the Lord of the Pings, but we didn't see that from him enough last season. So I'd like to see, someone else in the team take up that role. But here, let's go into another situation. So we've moved forward. Everyone's pushed up. Let's say the ball's out on the left with Bergwijn, pushed up. Totally probably Hoiberg over there, Skips up, defenders are moved up. Where do you want to see? Actually, let's move it to the side. Skips on. So you were saying earlier you want to see Skip play it more safe, and do you want to see him pushing up in scenarios like this where we're moving down the flanks, or would
Well,
you prefer him just stay back?
I would actually prefer for him to stay back and Højbjerg go up. Yeah,
Mm,
I'll draw it now on
mhm,
like one if the defense was in the final third, I'd kind of want Skip to be more like where he is now. Just what I'd want him to stay where he is in the center of the park. It just at all times fielding
mhm,
covering the defense while the attack does the rest. But I would definitely like to see him playing a lot of long balls out wide.
mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
definitely what I'd like to see from
and,
him. But
it
as
makes
far
sense
as
too. We have someone like him here. Sorry, you finish. You finish.
I was just going to say, as far as positional play goes, I'd like him to play more on the defensive end.
Hmm. That makes sense. What I was just going to say though was it makes sense to have Skip, who's someone how you were just saying has the ability to hit those longer balls coming. Because if Lucas is out here and he hits it across and it gets cleared and it comes out to Skip, that was quite a powerful clearance. But say if they're moved up a little bit, um, then we have someone who's on the ball who can hit those in. And if Bergwijn tucks in, and that creates so much space for Skip to hit one out to say Reguilon or Sessegnon, depending on who's playing. Or even Ben Davis, to then whip in another cross. And I think that's something that Skip has in his locker, like I was saying earlier, that Højbjerg doesn't have, that Delia doesn't have, that Lo Celso and Domblé haven't really shown a lot of. Yeah, exactly. And then if he has the creativity to find one of those three to play in Son, or if Harry Kane is part of the team, or the other era as well. I mean, playing it out to Lucas, that just creates so much opportunity for us. And that would be like such an improvement on the team. It's something that
Yeah,
we didn't have a lot of before.
it's and the crazy thing about it is during preseason, it's something we've definitely seen a lot where we saw with that half volley where he was like here
Yeah.
and then he
Hmm.
just volley it all the way down to there to like Bergwijn,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
he
shoot. Yeah.
also I remember seeing him put in a loft where he was like around the halfway point, and it was just like one of those that just went
Hmm.
over the top and we chip. It was really nice, and that's why I want to see him do that more because I know he can do it. um, the only issue, right, with play with Skip and Højbjerg is while I think they can supply creativity. What about all the rest of our midfielders in the team? I mean,
Yeah.
I want to see Skip and Højbjerg start, but people, you got players like Ndombele and the Salsonal that are going to be
Hmm.
arguing. Wait, where's my position?
Yeah.
For you have Delhi, Lacelson, and Ndombele all fighting for that one spot on the left centre midfield, and they'll all be thinking, or Lo Celso on the right centre midfield, he's left-footed. They'll be thinking, "Where's my spot?" I
Yeah.
don't want to be playing on the bench for all this time.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'm aware that we need defensive strengthening, but
Yeah.
you can't have two defensive midfielders as
Mhm.
defensive as what Højbjerg and Skip have shown in their time. Skip on loan and Højbjerg in the first season. So I feel like going forward in the future, either Skip or Højbjerg will be benched. More likely
Yeah.
Skip because of his age. But for the time being, I definitely want to see Skip and Højbjerg in the front in a two together in two
Mhm.
CDMs.
And I think something else that, like you were just saying, I think when Skip plays or when Hoiberg plays, we've seen Dombele playing like that more reserved role, or Lo Celso in the 1920 season playing that more reserved role. So when we're off the ball, um, we could play in like that 4-2-3-1 shape. Or I'll take that back a little bit. That just gives us a little bit more defensive security, especially when you're playing with someone like Højbjerg or Skip. And when we're back on the ball, Højbjerg, obviously Dombele and Lo Celso have all shown how good they are on the ball. So we could move into more of a 4-3-3, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording, but um, that's worked really well for us so far this preseason. And obviously we haven't played super good teams, just Arsenal and Chelsea, who
Yeah.
aren't very good, but
You know what though?
it gives us a lot of options.
One thing about Spurs one thing about a specific player. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm someone that's usually usually 100% right on everything about Spurs. I know I can be wrong sometimes, but I feel like for the most part, I usually am right. But one thing I will give Charles for is Lo Celso. When we're skipping Højbjerg together and Lo Celso in there, when Lo Celso doesn't have to drop as deep because he knows that he's got the defensive cover in the midfield, he was absolutely fantastic in every single
Yeah.
minute that he's played when he's been on this preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know when he's let me draw it real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Where he would be playing around the right side here, and then
Mm-hmm.
to set up the Tanganga goal when Tanganga was overlapping, and then he done like a
Yeah,
little thing,
that
and then
was
Tanganga
beautiful.
played it through, and Son slotted it in. But yeah, Lo Celso's been a key player, and I think Skip is definitely given a he's def struggling
He
with
gives
words,
us
but
also like more license to get forward.
yeah, yeah. I think that's with a lot of players as well. He's with the fact
Mm-hmm.
that now they know that they've got enough defensive cover in the midfield, not just from Højbjerg, because Højbjerg, while he's a fantastic player, he can't do everything himself.
Yeah,
But now
definitely.
that there's like two players and they're like
Mm-hmm.
identical in the way they play. They're both raw warriors. They don't stop. They put
Mm-hmm.
in a challenge every time. You know, when you have those two types of players, it
Yeah.
gives the attackers more confidence to go further upfield, which is why we've been
Mm-hmm.
creating so many more chances this preseason than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said this before last season, like around January, when we were starting to fall off. I says the reason why, like it was like when we lost 5-4 to Everton without the defensive reassurance, you
Mm-hmm.
can't go out and attack because we scored four, yes, and that just shows how good
Mm-hmm.
our attack is. But the
Yeah.
defense is woeful, conceded five. So that
Yeah.
just that one game summed up our our entire team. So with
Mm-hmm.
someone
Yeah,
like
I
Skip
totally agree.
coming in to support the defensive end, it
Mm-hmm.
gives the attackers more incentive to attack. So then you
Mm-hmm.
have the front four, uh, or yeah, you have the front four. Whoever's in the attacking midfielder, right wing, left wing, and striker, whoever them four are, they're going to be constantly going upfield. And because we've last season we had the best attack in the league, so we just didn't see as much of it because they were
Yeah.
tracking back from the defense. But
Mm-hmm.
um, last season we had the best attack in the league, and if we had a defender to like someone like Skip or a top
Yeah.
defender, things would
Mm-hmm.
have went a lot differently, I reckon. But
Yeah.
we can't
And
do
if,
anything now. We just look at the season now, and I
mm-hmm.
said this, and this is another thing I said a while ago. I said this was going to be a positive season. I'm still
Yeah.
sticking by it.
Mm-hmm.
Beating
Yeah, I
Arsenal.
think.
Arsenal's no special team at the minute, but a Premier League team's a Premier League team, and
Yeah.
to beat them as despite only being 1-0, beating them as comfortably as we did
Mm-hmm.
shows how positive that we can hit the ground running, especially when we had Dyer and Sanchez at the back and we still
Yeah.
kept a clean sheet. So and with Romero and Golini coming in as well in defense,
Mm-hmm.
I know I big up Spurs a lot, sometimes a bit too much, but I think this season's definitely going to be a very positive one. And I just say it
Mm-hmm.
so the fans don't feel let down.
Yeah. I think. Uh, I think it could be a good season. I think I'm not going to get my hopes up for anything other than just top six. That's my goal for us this season. Um, but we do have the quality in the team. And going back to what you were saying earlier about playing Skip and Højbjerg together and that license gives the forward players. When we played with two holding mids last season, it was Højbjerg and Winks, who I really want to like Winks, but he was so dreadful last season defensively. And then or it was Højbjerg and Sissoko. And Sissoko is a player I hated and loved and hated and loved, but I'm not going to point out hating him because he just doesn't show any effort anymore. So defensively, it was everyone having to cover for Sissoko because he's just kind of jogging around, not doing what he's supposed to, not covering the ground he's supposed to. So when you have these two players, let's say this little back circle here is Højbjerg, that gives all of this space and all of the license to these four players, Bergwijn, Lucas, Sonny, or Lo Celso, or Dombele, or Dele. Yeah, and then we have all of this defense back here, and then even our wing backs, Aurier and Reguilon or Session. Oh, and Doherty as well. They're all very good going forward. So that means we have 4 players who are going to be shielding us in the back. I'm assuming Højbjerg might step up a little bit or Skipp step up a little bit, but that gives us 4 very solid players to cover the back. And then what's this? 6 players pushing forward. Reguilon, Bergwijn tucks in, Lucas tucks in a little bit. Doherty gets out wide. We'll still sort Dombele in the middle. Sonny making runs in behind. That is very, very dangerous. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. And, if this is Harry Kane, then that's even more frightening for other teams. Because, if Kane checks in and Skipp or Højbjerg plays the ball into him, that creates so many runners in behind, and he can play it wide or he can play it through the middle, and then he can get back into the box and we can get those crosses in again. So it's going to be scary, but not for us. So, but yeah, I think I agree with you when you say it could be a really good season for us, and don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but yeah, I definitely think it could be a very positive season for us. I'm looking forward to it. But any other thoughts on Oliver Skipp before we wrap up?
There is one more thing I'd like to ask, and that's regarding what will happen with in Ndombele, Dele, and Lo Celso. If Skipp and Højbjerg are the 2 starting midfielders, then where does their future lie? Who do we move on out of them 3 if that's what we move forward with?
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm not sure on.
Well, if the past is anything to go by, Dombele won't last anything more than like 70 minutes. So, or 60 even. So I'm sure I'd prefer to see Dombele and Lo Celso play together in that role. Not together necessarily, but like them 2 fighting for this role. Dele is just, I haven't really loved what I've seen of him this preseason. I'll back him, but I definitely prefer to see Dombele or Lo Celso. But if the rumors of Dombele like not applying himself in training and being overweight are true, maybe it's time to play Lo Celso and Dele in that spot. But yeah, I think in games against like lower league teams, or not lower league, but like lower on the table teams, like Crystal Palace or Watford or Southampton, then maybe that's a good opportunity for us to play Skipp and like Lo Celso or Dombele. Oh boy. All right, I think Bodhi's getting a little carried away with the pen now. I think we should probably wrap it up.
No, seriously though, I could see Ndombele leaving, because unless it'll be Ndombele or Dele for me. If that's what we move forward with, it'll either be Dele goes from a massive offer, like 30 million pounds, or because of him being English, he stays because for the homegrown, and then Ndombele leaves for like a half fee of what was already paid for him, and then we reinvest elsewhere. So that's the two options that's going to happen if Skipp and Højbjerg moves. If that's what moves forward for the rest of the season, one of them 3 will have to leave. But that's, you know what, that's the question for the comments. Out of them 3, who will be leaving? If that's what we move forward with, who would be leaving out of them 3?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, comment what you think. Like Buddy was just saying, remember to hit subscribe. Last time I checked, we hadn't hit 200 yet. We actually might be at 200 right now, or by the time this video gets posted. Oh yeah, we're at 206. So in that case, subscribe so we can get to 300. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you so much for 200.
Yeah, thank you all so much for 200. We really appreciate the support recently. And we'll catch you in the next one. Podcast is going to be coming out tomorrow after the Man City game. Comment your predictions for the Man City game too. Interested to see what you guys think. But yeah, thank you for watching. We love you all, and we'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Spurs.